What's up, everybody? It's Chandler Rome with Crush City Territory here with Tyler Stafford. Happy 2025. Tyler, how was your New Year's?
It was good. That does not seem like a real year. 2025. Like I mean that feels like a sci-fi like made it, in the year 2025. This is what it's going to be. I'm not comfortable with living in it just yet.
Yeah, it's a miracle we made it to 2025, I think is what you're trying to say. And
Sure.
I think everyone kind of thinks that to some extent. When New Year's comes about, everyone kind of starts sketching out what they want to do better in this coming year. It gives you a blank slate. It gives you time to think about what you did bad in previous years and how you can be better in this new year. Do you have any personal New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, I don't know that I need a new year to think about all the bad things that I've done. I'm pretty good at that, just constantly. But yeah, man, I've got two kids. We have another on the way, and so a lot of resolutions around around that. A fun one is my oldest got some skates, and we've been going to this skate park near us, and I went and got a skateboard, so I'm ready to tear an ACL here in the coming weeks. That'll be fun. And then I've been recording and writing a lot of music, and I'm recording an album this year. So a lot of stuff with that. I'm looking forward to it. What about you?
I look forward to you ascending the Billboard charts and
Yeah.
leaving this podcast quicker than you joined it. I think my general New Year's resolution is to like get a life,
Sure.
because generally I just kind of sit around and look on Baseball Reference and text sources that don't text me back, and it's quite a life you lead as a reporter. And then
Oh
you
God,
just
do I not have a life? That sounds like my life, and I don't even get paid for it.
you have a wife and kids, like
Okay.
you have a life. I'm just here. I'm just here existing, man. Hopefully, hopefully, you listeners have more prudent resolutions. The Astros and people within that organization, there's some people that should get some resolutions. And I think Tyler and I have put our heads together and we've come up with a couple resolutions for some different people within the Astros orbit, within the Astros organization.
Astros orbit.
Orbit. Quick Houston mascot rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Orbit's one,
Sure.
unquestioned.
Mm-hmm.
Cal McNair is two.
Okay.
They parade him out and make him throw H's up. I don't think he knows what H is.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't seem like he knows a ton of what's going on. I think the bear. What they call the bear for the
I
Rocket?
was gonna say yes. I remember as a kid, man, the halftime show a lot would be like dunk stuff with the bear mascot. We're gonna get roasted that we cannot remember his name off the top of our heads. You're gonna have to look it up. So
I just did. I
okay.
just did. It's Clutch the bear.
Clutch, of course, Clutch. Yes, but I remember going to games as a kid, and they would do these awesome like dunk trampoline routines. So he's always been super cool.
Yeah, and he's like sustained, right? Like he's been the
Oh yeah,
mascot for forever. Like Orbit's relatively new onto the scene.
I've got a fun mascot story for you. So I grew up. My dad was a pastor in the Houston area, and the guy who was the original Orbit for a long time went to our church, and so I've known him forever. And then he was Junction Jack, for a long time. I think he still works on the grounds crew for the Astros, so I'll see him every once in a while and say hi. But yeah, man, I grew up like knowing Junction Jack, and that was very cool to me.
A very quick aside: I wrote a story I went to LSU. I wrote a story in college. I wrote a story in college about the students that play Mike the Tiger,
Mm-hmm.
and the students were like cool about it.
Friends of Mike the Tiger, right?
Oh, so have you heard? Have I told you this?
No, but I also knew someone who was a friend of Mike the Tiger.
So like the students that I interviewed for it, the students that actually played Mike, they were like, yeah, like we kind of have to say it like this. I went and interviewed the coach, and this dude is like this dude was in his mid 30s,
The Mike the
and
Tiger coach or the
the mascot coach, yes, like
there's a mascot coach?
basically the cheerleading coach.
Okay.
Look at, I mean, LSU wastes a lot of money paying this dude's salary. Probably is at the top of the list. So I went to interview this guy, and like we're two adults having a conversation, and he's like, "You cannot write anywhere that these people are Mike the Tiger." And I looked at him like he had 8 heads, and I was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, "You don't understand what this will do. You have a duty and a responsibility to write that these guys play or help Mike." No, that was the thing. It wasn't that
Yeah,
they
they
play
help.
Mike, is that they're Mike's helpers, because they wanted Mike, the anthropomorphic version of Mike, to
Mhm.
be an actual thing. I looked at this dude like he had 10 heads, and I said, "No, I live in reality, and I'm going to quote you on the record and just write whatever you said." And then he didn't talk to me for a long time.
You
Um,
should have just quote that should have been the opening lead, is like just that quote from this guy, and then the rest of the story being like, these people are insane.
well, so the funny thing was, one of the guys, so I think it's all the time when they graduate from LSU, they walk across the stage in Mike's feet. Like they wear like the feet. And that's how like they quote unquote tell everyone that they were one of Mike's helpers during their college career. And I wanted to look at the guy and be like, all right, so it's fine for them to walk across the stage wearing the costume, but it's not okay for me to put in this like story I'm writing for a class that this kid is Mike in the suit. Like it was one of the most excuse my French, one of the most ass backward things I've ever heard in my life.
Uh, I really like this view into your psyche, and I like that like 19-year-old Chandler was just as just angry at everyone for your stories, and that makes me really happy that the job here has not changed you. This is you.
Yeah, not much has changed. So a lot of people are still harbor a lot of anger toward me. And it may continue after this podcast, in which we will
Mhm.
tell the Astros in which ways they have to get better in 2020.
Resolution number one: harbor resentment towards Chandler.
They do that already. Don't worry. They don't need a resolution for that. All right. So first one off the top of my head, and this is kind of a nuanced one that you guys are gonna have to stick with me on this one.
What is
Dana
it?
Brown.
These are Astros resolutions.
These are Astros resolutions. These are not
Okay.
my resolutions. We don't need to, that's a sad, sorry
So we're
tale.
making resolutions for the Astros.
Yes.
Okay.
My first one is for Dana Brown, the Astros GM. I think, as many of you know by now, Dana Brown is nothing if not candid. Likes to speak his mind. Likes to say a lot of bold things. Part of that is the scout in him. He's a longtime scout, and if you've ever been around baseball scouts, the one thing they can do is they can talk. They can talk a lot, and they don't have a filter. Dana Brown has brought that with him to the GM's role, sometimes to his detriment, but sometimes, it helps get the fan base going, and it helps, get some confidence. I think for Dana in 2025, he needs to be a man of his word. You've heard him by now. He began this winter by saying that Alex Bregman was the Astros' biggest priority. Alex Bregman was not the Astros' biggest priority, retaining him this winter. The offer that they gave him, everything that went after it, you could tell that he was not their biggest priority. A couple years ago, he went on the Astros flagship radio station and said Kyle Tucker would be an Astro for life. We now know that Kyle Tucker will not be an Astro for life. I'm going to defend him in these two instances, because what else is he going to say? Like, you can't go on the team's flagship radio station and say, "Oh yeah, we're going to trade Kyle Tucker in a year and a half because he's going to get too expensive." And you can't start this offseason by saying, "Yeah, we're going to lowball Alex Bregman and then pivot and go from there." It's kind of between a rock and a hard place there. But the one thing Dana has been vocal about, and was vocal about when he got the job, talks about extensions. He talks about, we wanted to be like Atlanta. We want to extend these young guys to where you avoid these two situations where you were with Tucker and with Bregman. I think in 2025, he's got to be a man of his word with some of these extensions. And he's got to lock these guys up young. And now I know everyone in their minds thinking right now extensions are like, oh, Framber Valdez, or oh, like Hunter Brown, or oh, like maybe Jeremy Peña. You've missed the boat on all of them. Like they're too far in it. Like Jeremy Peña is 2 years away from free agency. Hunter Brown just hired Scott Boras. Framber Valdez just watched Max Fried and Corbin Burns get $200 million. Like you're not extending them. The guys that you're talking about that he's going to be in more serious thoughts for: Yainer Diaz, Spencer Arrighetti, maybe Brian Abreu. I think you may be too far gone with him too, maybe too far deep into the arbitration process, but you can take a shot and see. And I know a lot of you were thinking right now, man, like Spencer Arrighetti just had a 4.5 ERA. And, Yainer Diaz, who was very good last year, maybe not, maybe the production you thought you'd see from him. Guys, you've got to, there's some risk involved in all of these. And until they realize that they have got to get these guys younger and they've got to lock them up young before they get to arbitration, we're going to see a lot of these same Tucker and Bregman and Correa and Springer. We're going to see this script follow suit a lot.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, so much of baseball roster building is the fringes, right? Like you can every year, if you wanted to, you could spend and get one humongous free agent as the cherry on top of your roster. But we just saw the Dodgers sign Tommy Edman to a ton of money because we know that it's going to take all of these building blocks to win a championship. And you're exactly right. Those are the types of guys, to do it for. So I love that. Okay, so I have one. I went with because I am a bored writer here that doesn't have an outlet. I get to be a little silly and creative. So I went with resolutions that sound like actual resolutions, but then I'll walk you through the Astros side. So my first one is get outside more, embrace the outdoors. And what I mean by that, open the dang roof. What are we doing? Daikin Park, caught myself.
It's officially Daikin Park now.
First off, I'm sure they would love not having to pay for air conditioning. They would appreciate that. But more importantly, every single person who's ever been to an open roof game will tell you about the time that they went to an open roof game because it rules. And it's hot outside, but we all know that. We live here. Like no one's in Houston and going like, "What? It's 85 degrees at night." Yeah, man, we're all in shorts all the time. And it's okay. Like as long as it's not raining and it's not the afternoon or the humidity is not going to like melt your face, open the roof. It's fun. And I don't know, maybe they changed the rules or something on this. You would know better than me. But I remember when Enron first opened, how cool it was in like the 6th or 7th inning when they pop it over the course of an inning and everybody's just like staring at the roof. Maybe the man told us we couldn't do that anymore. But I say do it because it rules and it's really fun.
Don't tell Lance McCullers Jr. that. He had a bad experience with the roof opening mid-game in Arizona.
His hair got too frizzy.
I think some stuff went wrong with the ball. Like he had a bad experience with the roof opening mid-game on him at Chase Field in Arizona a couple of years back. So, but that leads into why they don't open the roof. The players don't want it open.
I don't really care.
I don't
get over it. I wrote an article one time for esteemed friend of the program, Astros County, and I wrote a story about is it actually worse whenever they open the roof? And it's not. The difference is literally negligible over the course of Astros history. Everybody's always going to complain about everything. I don't care. It's a sport for fans, and it's fun when the roof is open. Open it up. You'll be okay. I promise. Like you play outside at the Oakland Coliseum. That place sucks, but you're fine. You play a you play a game there and you move on. Open the roof. It's fun.
Yeah, you know as well as I do, Tyler. Baseball players are the most superstitious players in the world, and in their minds, they have 81 games a year where the climate is controlled. They'll know the spin of the ball. They'll know how the ball tracks. Pitchers, they'll know how the ball spins. It'd be tough sell, but at the same time, and I've vocalized this a lot. We have seen that Major League Baseball makes them open the roof when they have home playoff games. Like that has been a thing in the last couple of years that Major League Baseball, if the temperatures are within the guidelines, has mandated that the roof be open. Why not get some practice? Like,
Mhm.
I'm not saying open the roof in June and July when it's 110 degrees out with 95% humidity, but there are times in April, there are times in September, there are times when it becomes a little unseasonably cool in August that you can open the roof for certain games. And I think it's a better viewing experience. I think it's a beautiful view at Minute Maid. I
Mhm.
think I think it'd be something that they need to look into. I'd be surprised if it changes negligibly.
I would
Um,
say if you are a player on the team, if I were the owner, I would say if you win 65% of your closed roof games, you can close it all you want. I'll do whatever you want to get that margin. But if you think it makes you 1% worse, get over it. This roof looks cool when we open it, and we're going to do it more.
and also, like, wouldn't opening the roof automatically mean you run the air condition more, which means you get to run Daikin air conditioning more,
Mhm.
which means you
Yeah.
get to make your sponsor really,
Are
really.
you an ally or not? That's all I want to know.
It's tough. I'll have to pose that question the next time Jim Crane
Thank you.
walks away from me. This next one has been something that has been kind of thought about for this player for the last couple of years, and it just really has never manifested. And I think with the way this Astros lineup is going to be constructed this year, it's going to be more important than ever for Jeremy Peña to find a way to elevate the ball. This was a guy that, as a rookie, he hit 25, he hit 22 homers as a rookie. He's hit 25 since in the 2 seasons since. He had a 426 slugging percentage as a rookie. He's had a 386 slugging percentage in the 2 seasons since. He led Major League Baseball last year. Do you know this, Tyler? He led Major League Baseball last year with 31 infield hits.
Wow.
If you take away, and again, you can't play the game of, take away all, like half it, cut it in half. If he has 15 infield hits instead of 31, his batting average goes from 266 to 240. So you look at the player a lot differently. Again, with the way that this lineup is going to be constructed, you don't have Kyle Tucker anymore. You're not going to have Alex Bregman anymore. You hope that Isaac Paredes comes in and the pull power translates to Minute Maid Park. You hope Christian Walker can come in and produce that 30 home run power you've seen. You hope that Chas McCormick has a rebound season. You hope Yainer Diaz, maybe they can spare him a little bit and he can get a little more pop than we saw last year. But this team is going to need some contributions from the bottom of its order. And I think Jeremy Peña, and it's not even necessarily hitting home runs. Like, he's got to stop hitting ground balls. He had a 53.1% ground ball rate 2 seasons ago, had one at 49.6% last year. That's almost half of his contacts on the ground. And he's the fastest guy on the team, so it helps that, I mean, obviously with 31 infield hits, like, he puts the ball on the ground, there's a chance he can beat it out, but they need him to hit the ball on a line, hit the ball in the air, get that slugging percentage up, and it can make this lineup, Tyler, it can make it a whole lot more dynamic if he can find a way to get the ball in the air.
Yeah. Next time you see him, you should ask if he thinks the issue is because his arms are too small, and then just keep putting it out there that maybe he needs to make his arms a little bigger.
I don't know. Look, and maybe this is maybe this is the kind of hitter he is. Like, maybe maybe his rookie year was an aberration. In the last 2 years, this is just kind of the hitter he is. But I mean, you were facetious about it, but you brought up a good point. Like, you look at him and you're like,
He's huge.
how are you not hitting the ball 800 feet? Like, how are you not just
I think he
hitting?
could punch the ball further. Like if we gave him a batting or like a boxing glove and just told him to smack it, that dude's biceps are absurd.
It's pretty incredible to stand next to him.
Do you think they have
And
to tailor his jerseys? Like it's not like he can wear a medium chest and then medium arm. He's got to have like XL arm sleeves, right?
well, now that he's in a relationship, now great hard launch, by the way.
Hard
Hard
lunch.
launching. I don't
All the kids
remember.
are saying it.
Great hard launch by him. Maybe they
You
don't
should
have
hard launch one into the dang Crawford boxes, Chandler.
that is why you're on this podcast. That is why you were my first call to do this podcast. But maybe they don't have to now because he's found love. He's got a girlfriend, and they don't need to tailor his jerseys to where he bulges out of it because you know the women in the stands. He doesn't have to worry about that anymore.
That's it. That was the problem. All right. My next one, I guess this is also stadium focused, but it is eat better at home. And there were two ways we could go with this. And unfortunately, the first one didn't fit my joke as well. So my first thought was, remember when they were really bad at home? Turns out that wasn't last year. That was 2 years ago where they just were awful at home. So that ruined my first joke. But then I pivoted. And did you see the tweet from like the Phoenix Suns the other day, how they changed their food menu? Did you see that?
I did not know.
So
Educate me.
the owner of the Suns or whatever came out.
Is it Matty Sheba, the former walk-on at Michigan State that became a billionaire?
What?
There's a great real sports profile on him, but
Okay.
yeah, he like was a walk-on at Michigan State and now like is a billionaire. And
Sure.
owns a bunch of teams.
Just like Dwayne the Rock Johnson at Miami, right?
Coached by
walk-ons becoming billionaires.
Coached by former LSU coach Ed Orgeron at Miami.
Oh, there we go.
And always bring it back to LSU.
You sure can. Okay, so they lowered the prices of all of their foods. Now, like hot dogs are $2, sodas are $2 or whatever. But basically, the owner of the Suns like walked through the concourse and was like, "You can't afford to eat here if you're just like coming to the game." It's the same way. I've got a family. There is literally no scenario where I'm paying, even the cheapest seats, which are fine, $20 or whatever. That's reasonable. The ticket prices are not crazy, but there has to be a place in the ballpark that I can go get chicken nuggets for my 5-year-old and it's $5. You know what I mean? Like you have to have something where it's like the games are later at night. People are going to be eating dinner, especially if you want them showing up on time. It's you got to eat at the park, and it is outrageously expensive. Now, some of that is fun. Like some of the experience of going to a ballpark is getting cool food, paying for it, whatever. I'm okay with that, but you got to have a way to make it affordable for families to eat there. And I would love to see them do something like that.
Is your 5-year-old not a fan of Dollar Dog Night?
We go to Dollar Dog Night, and of course everybody loves that, right? Like clearly that is profitable for them to do. I'm not saying it has to be hot dogs every time, but like I said, there's got to be a place where I can get nachos and a lemonade for a kid and it's $7. Like that just has to be something that we can figure out as a society.
You are right. And like you mentioned the Suns, I didn't see the Suns specifically, but like if you go to other arenas, like I think Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta sticks out. Like they have done their fan pricing to where like you can get a bottle of water for $3.50.
Yeah.
You can get a hamburger or a hot dog for $5. You can get chicken strips for $7. Like I think there is merit to that. And again, like I'm privileged in that like I'm in the press box. Like I pay $12 for the media meal. I can't tell you the last time I ate concessions at Minute Maid. I don't know if they taste good. I also don't have kids. I don't have a family. So it's something that I'm glad you're bringing light to, but I can't relate to that. But I think it's something that I think they need to obviously improve, because if you're saying it, someone that's a diehard fan, someone that wants to go to the games no matter what, if it's putting any doubt at all in your head, like, can you imagine like the casual fan that has 2 kids that may want to go?
if I knew that I could go to the game and feed my family for the cost of what it takes me to go to Chick-fil-A, I could go like, yeah, of course I'll pay $60 and pay for, $10 parking, walk into the stadium, like 70 extra bucks for, an experience of basically what I was gonna do anyway, which is just eat with my family. I would do that in a heartbeat, but it really like weighs on you to. I mean, you can bring food into the stadium, but nobody lives in Houston. Everybody lives an hour away, and with traffic, you live 6 hours away sometimes. So it really does like there's a lot to consider going to a game, and it would just be nice to have something like that.
Yeah, and like I think one thing that we should like underscore here is like this doesn't have to be stadium wide. Like
Yeah.
it can be in one section. It can be at one concession stand. And again, maybe and if there's someone with the Astros listening to this, they can reach out and tell us if we're wrong. Again, I don't walk around the stadium. I don't know what every concession stand looks like. Maybe there is a place for that, and we could talk about it.
Somebody
When you reach
tell
out.
me because I have not found it.
Please someone tell Tyler, who is a girl dad that just wants to take his two girls to Minute Maid Park and not have
How
or
dare
Daikin
you
Park.
put a
Oh my
dollar in the
goodness.
jar?
This is gonna be tough. Wants to take his girls to Daikin Park and not have to take out a second mortgage.
Mhm.
Speaking of girl dads that are going to be instrumental in this upcoming
Nice.
Astros season, Jake Meyers. Congratulations to Jake Meyers, first daughter Ava, born during the 2022 season. Great, Jake's a great dude. Obviously, did not have the production last year that I think anyone, including himself, was envisioning. Um, the way this roster's lined up, he's going to, play a pretty big role this year. And I think one thing that he has got to do this season to kind of set himself apart, he's got to find a helmet that fits. Like, like Carl Schneider, like head clubhouse manager for the Astros, like someone find poor Jake Meyers a helmet that fits because it's kind of hilarious. Watch, he's perfected it now. Like when he swings and misses and it falls off, he just perfected the catch. Like he barely makes it down the first base line without it flying off of his head. And like, look, he has shaved his head. He's grown his hair out. He's had every hairstyle you can think of in the time I've covered him. And he can never find a helmet that fits. And it's like, no one else has this problem. Why can't Tyler? Why can't they find Jake Meyers a helmet that fits?
You know, I think you're right. I think the hair is too nice and it just needs to come out. My buddy Fulton sent me a video of his son riding his bike today, and he had a sweet Spider-Man helmet with the like buckle underneath.
Mhm.
And I think that's something maybe we need to incorporate for Jake. But yeah, you're right. We got to get that going.
And and like to all seriousness, like he's gonna have to produce too. I mean, he's like
Sure.
the
Okay.
way this the
Fine.
way this the way this outfield's shaping up. I don't see them adding any big dollar help, and so that means Jake Meyers is your center fielder opening day. And I mean, look, the Astros will be all right if his helmet flies off, hits 25 homers, and
Mhm.
has a mid 700s OPS. But I think even then, I think even if he does produce, like they've got to find him, or maybe it's a bob. Maybe they're working toward a bobblehead. Maybe there's like a bobblehead opportunity here, like with Jake's flow going and like him like having his helmet in his right hand, like as he's speeding down the bases. A free bobblehead idea to the Astros marketing team.
Mhm. Have you ever seen the uh if you're just up way late at night on like ESPN2 and they've got the like professional cornhole going? Have you ever seen that?
I mean, I have not watched it intently, but yes, I've seen it as I'm
Okay.
flipping the channels. Yes.
There are fake weighted cans that the athletes will hold because they got so used to holding a beer while playing cornhole that they will literally like have a counterweight. And maybe that's what Jake is doing as he's running the bases. He's just so used to holding his helmet that it like helps him balance out as he's rounding first.
I think the only thing I can equate that to is like you watch the world's. I watch a lot of poker. I watch the World Series of
Same.
Poker. Like,
Who's your guys?
I can't pick one. I don't want to pick just one, but
Brad
I
Owen.
I,
Or
I
you
mean,
watching the YouTubes?
I'm mainly on the YouTubes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to get better at it. It's like I'm not even watching for like personalities. I'm watching to like get the game to know the game better. But my favorite is like the casinos that don't allow smoking, and these people just chew on unlit cigarettes for hours and hours on end. It's like it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Okay. So my last one here, it is to exercise more. Um, I saw a stat today that you probably saw too. I don't remember where I saw it. I tried looking it up, but X, the Everything app, is a disaster for searching things. But the Astros apparently stopped at second base on a single 250 times last year, and that was more than any other team in baseball. So if somebody's on first, somebody hits a single, they stopped at second base more than anybody else. You got to exercise. You got to get yourself to third base, because there are little things in baseball, that we all remember our little league coach telling us. And going first to third on a single is, first off, just a divine feeling, and it's very fun to watch, but it has real consequences in a game. And those things add up over time, especially when you're not mashing home runs like the Astros haven't. You got to play small ball, and you got to get to third. You got to go see your new third base coach. Hit us with the name, Chandler.
Tony Paris-Chica.
Thank
And
you.
and look, you bring up a good point, because that is part of why Joe Espada wanted to bring Tony Paris-Chica on. Because if you'll remember last year in spring training, Joe Espada was like all in on aggressive base running. We want to be more aggressive. We want to take the extra base. And that never really manifested this year. Part of it was the personnel. When you look at their fastest guys, I mean, we just talked about Jeremy Peña, who had problems. His on-base percentage was not high. Chas McCormick's one of their fastest players. Jake Meyers is their second fastest player behind Jeremy Peña. Both of them had very down seasons. Mauricio Dubon is up there in sprint speed, and his on-base percentage was below 300. So part of it was that their fast guys weren't getting on base. And then, it's tough with Jordan. Let's say it's Jordan Alvarez on first, like it's tough to tell him to go first to third in a mid-June game, knowing the history with his knees. It's tough in the dog days of summer for 34-year-old Jose Altuve to turn on the jets and go first to third. Alex Bregman, one of their higher on base percentage guys, the Astros told him not to run a lot because of his history of soft tissue injuries. So I think a lot of it would be solved, honestly, by their fast guys getting on base more. But I will say part of Tony Paris-Chica's allure to the Astros was the way the Diamondbacks ran the bases. And so let's see. I mean, they talked a big game last year about wanting to be aggressive and wanting to, push the envelope, and we didn't see it. Maybe it does change this year. I think that's a good point. I mean, I think it's something that, I think this team, we saw them too much last year be station to station. They were very it took 3 singles to score a run. If Jordan Alvarez wasn't hitting the ball out and Kyle Tucker was hurt, then they weren't getting a ton of slug. I think they may have solved that with adding Walker and Paredes, but yeah, I mean, they've got to make outfielders make good throws. They've got to make them play competent defense. And I think if they want to push the envelope, Tony Paris-Chica is the right guy to do it, but they're going to have to get some of those guys with faster sprint speeds on base more.
Yeah, and I mean the construction of the lineup is just not, 3 true outcomes like, maybe it was built a few years ago where you had 4 or 5 guys in the lineup capable of hitting 30 home runs in a season, right? I mean, outside of Jordan, there's not a real this guy's coming to the plate, he might hit a homer feeling, right? Like obviously people get into some every once in a while, but outside of Jordan, there's not really anybody that you're like, let's try to get as many people on base in front of this guy because he's going to hit a home run. Like you got to manufacture runs, and that's a simple way to do it.
I don't know, man. Jose Altuve, there's just some points in games when Jose Altuve comes up and you just know. You're like, oh, he's gonna ambush first pitch fastball at his eyes and hit it 350 feet into the Crawford boxes. And he does it, and it's insane.
Isn't it so cool that he plays baseball and has played baseball for the Astros his whole career. That's so fun.
Very rare, as we found out.
And he's really good. I don't know if you've watched him much, but he is very fun to watch. Fun to run the bases sometimes, and then he also leads the league in what are you doing? But that's what I love about him. Never stop.
Jose Altuve, he is so good at so many things. Base running. And look, he has made some like incredibly good base running decisions that have like turned.
I was at the Gary Sanchez dropped walk-off game.
Yep. There's that one. And then the Astros ended up winning this game. But remember game 1 of the 2022 World Series when he got on base in the bottom of the 9th? Like he hit like a flare single with 2 outs. And then he stole second.
Yeah.
And like Real Muto put the throw like on the money. And he stole second. And if Nick Castellanos doesn't lay out and grab Peña's blooper, like that's the winning run in a World Series game.
Yep.
And it just depends. You know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. The problem with Altuve is a lot of the times it doesn't work out with him, it gets magnified. And so maybe that's a New Year's resolution for Jose Altuve. Like,
it's okay, man. You're famous. People are gonna notice, but it's okay.
It's all right. You can.
We all like you. Like you're not gonna win new fans outside of Houston anyway, and you're not gonna lose any here. So just be you. Run around, scoot around on those bases, buddy.
There's nothing Jose Altuve could do that would lose him any fans in the city of Houston. He
has a free pass for life here.
That man is set for life. He can do whatever he wants, and he will continue to probably do whatever he wants throughout the 2025 season. Now, will all of his teammates and bosses follow suit? Will they listen to the resolutions that we had for them? I'm not sure, but Tyler and I will be there and be watching, and we're going to take notes. We're going to keep track of whether these guys follow suit with these resolutions, and we will report back 3 times a week in the regular season, twice a week in the off season on Crush City Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network. Thanks, guys. Appreciate everyone who's listened, everyone who's reached out with compliments on the pod. If you could rate and review us on iTunes and Apple and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is apparently a big deal, I'm told. So any subscriptions that you could do would really help us out, and we'd really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Have a happy and blessed and peaceful 2025.
Bye.